Hey guys, this is Judge, and this is outing number 2 for tdarrahs Heavy Cover Basic Bushcraft Challenge. And yeah, there's a little setup to this video. I had part of my personal challenge, in addition to doing these skills, is I want to get better at making and editing and getting an idea in my own style for doing videos like this. And so I got the GoPro, I got my other camera out, my tripod, all the stuff that I needed, head into the woods and get set up. And I'm just going to do filming. I'm going to get a bunch of footage and put this really cool video together. So here I am. I've got all my stuff. Today's outing is all about cordage. I'm going to do a 2-strand twist, a 3-strand braid, paracord bracelet, whip some tools, and rope, and go from there. So I'm getting my camera set up. I've got my angle. Titus is with me, as I prefer, and being super patient for this whole 6-hour ordeal that the day turns into. So I got things all set up, set the camera down, and I go to press record. And yeah, this sort of kind of sets the tone, it seems, for the day. So yeah, what you're going to see here on the screen is basically, despite the fact that I grabbed a fresh battery right out of the charger and headed for the woods, the battery is dead. So there is not all to do but sally forth. So what I brought with me was my little camp chair that I made. And all I gotta do is cut 3 legs for this thing, whip them together, and I've got a 3-legged stool. So somehow, despite the fact that I'm using my own body to measure the lengths for my legs, I managed to get one like 4 inches wrong. So I don't know if I got excited and my arm grew or what the deal was. But once again, we're going to sally forth, cut a new leg, and get this right. So once again, in the vein of putting together some cool stuff, I'd try and get some footage, and I'm just going to go ahead and, keep going, keep trucking on. And what I'm doing here is getting the tops rounded out so that they don't poke through my my seat. And on this one, this leg's a little bit thicker than it needs to be, so I want to pare down the outer diameter a little bit, and go from there. And okay, we've had a couple of hiccups. No big deal. We're out in the woods, having a good time. I'm with my dog, so we'll speed this up a little bit. Just for a little gratuitous tracker action, because it's cool. But anywho, so go through and we'll get these finished paring down, and I get these pared down and go back. I get the legs all laid out. I lash them together, get my seat all put together. It's nice and level. Comes out really good this time. And then we're finally going to start on our challenge. So I'm going to start with the 3-strand braid. I start braiding up, get it all measured out, and I'm going to make a new line for the bucksaw that I made. Which brings me to this. Somehow, some way, I have managed to lose or never took footage of putting the chair together, of starting the braid at all, let alone starting the braid. But by the time you guys get to see what's going on here, it's almost done. So I've started the braid, I've braided the loop in, gotten to a point in my measurements where I thought, oh, I didn't cut enough line, so I braided in, I spliced in more line, to give me the length that I needed so I could finish the braid. That's what you don't get to see. None of that cool stuff. Really, some of the stuff that's part of the requirement, except for the splicing. I don't know if that's part of it, and I don't even know if I did it right, but it seemed logical. Now, because I was using this on my buck saw, I wanted a closed loop on the other end so it was easy to take on and off. So what I did is I have this bone needle that I made, and I'm going to use that bone needle to back braid, I guess you would call it, the other loop end. So, and I don't know if that's appropriate or not. I think it is. I know the old marlin spike sailors, they braid and splice line all the time with that stuff, so it seems logical to me. So what I tried to do was, as I laid my braid back, line everything up and tried to naturally follow the order that the braid would want to go. I've never done this before. And so as a consequence, there's certain things you don't think of, like getting between the loops and not through the line. So what do? I break my bone needle. I got nothing. So what do? I mean, I worked hard to make that needle. Exactly. Sally forth. So now what I'm trying to do is I've got to work this needle out of that braid so that I can continue on. I don't know how I'm going to continue on. I've got this big, chunky, blunt end now. So I do the only thing I can do once I get the needle out from the braid. I make a new sharp, pointy end. Try and get it as smooth as I can so that I can work it between the braids. And you know what? After a little time and careful work and scraping with the knife, it actually turned out pretty good. And the needle might actually be better for it. It might be a little stronger. It's actually one of the cool things about the bone needles. So I go through, get this needle resharpened, get the braid done. Now I can go ahead and I finish back braiding and everything. Now I can string my buck saw. Except that, well, alright, the braid's a little thicker than one single sanded paracord. So I do a little working, a little digging, and just a little bit of love, and finally get everything strung through. Get my buck saw strung up, and that one is finally done. The 3-strand braid is done. It turns out it's a little long, but it works just fine. So, alright, score 1 for the good guys. That means we can finally move on to the next thing. Our 2-strand twist. So, I have plenty of footage of this. And watching me braid this thing up, twist this thing up, is like watching paint dry. So, long story short, you twist and twist and twist. Now, my idea here is I'm going to make a ridge line for the tarp. I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, get everything measured out. Here, I'm going to go ahead and fuse the end so it doesn't unravel, which is then going to bring us to whipping the loop on. This stuff actually goes fairly smooth from this part out. So I'm going to go through here, finally get things lined up the way I like, start whipping the loop on, and like I said, it goes really pretty smoothly. So smoothly, in fact, that I think I'm winning. What I didn't bother showing you is, despite my efforts to make a long enough ridge line, it was like 10 feet too short. That's a lot of rope. Alright, so whipping a 2-handle. I decided to do this on the tracker. A, because I've seen some guys do it, and I was like, alright, let's see how it feels. And B, you'll see later, I got a picture of it. At one point, I've whipped the axe that I take with me, and then did Bushcraft's trick. Put a little epoxy on it to thicken up the handle a little bit. I actually like it, much like Doug. I like that. It worked for me. Some people will absolutely hate it when they see it. That's fine. It's not their axe. Anyway, I go ahead and I get the whipping finished up on the tracker, and get it cut off. And it's not a bad feel. I kind of like the thickness and stuff of it, but I can see where it would be better on a smooth handled tool. But with the tracker, there's some finger divots and stuff, and yeah, I ended up taking it off after this, but I can see the value. So we're winning. We're finally winning. And all is well. All I have to do now is do my paracord bracelet. Yep. I'm done with the GoPro. I've got just enough battery in my cell phone to take a couple pictures. So here's the start of the paracord bracelet. It's the inner core with the diamond knot on the end. I'm starting my my weave, and I get it done. So I've finally completed all this, and we have our triumph. So here you see my ridgeline, my bow saw cord, the paracord bracelet, the whipping on both the tracker that I did for you, and then also the whipping on the axe handle that's been epoxied in previously. So that's it. I finally made it. Now we're on to number 3. Thanks for watching, guys.